Family, what's going on? Good afternoon. It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. This is our college football ranking show. I'm going to show you the coaches poll in just a minute, and then we will wait for the AP Top 25 to be released. I will give you my feedback on the coaches poll. As you know, Alabama checks in at number 10, and we will see where Alabama falls in the AP Top 25. I will also give you my updated prediction of how I think the college football playoffs could be set for Tuesday. Just a prediction, so all that and more. But before we get to the rankings, it's going to go around the horn and talk a little college football. Yo, these were some things that stood out to me yesterday, all right, when watching college football. And we start out, did you watch this? Did you see this at the top left? Okay, we're up here. Top left box, and we have South Carolina. All right, this is Nick Harbor, who's coming out, and we have Texas A&M. I think was he a sheriff? Right? He was a cop. Right? I think he might have been a sheriff. Did you see this? Everybody's talking about it. So South Carolina's coming out of the tunnel, and from what it looked like to me, it looked like the three South Carolina football players are walking, to the stadium, and the sheriff is going the opposite direction. And they collide, but it seemed to me like it was the sheriff that initiated the contact, okay? So this went viral. People were talking about it. He was clearly pissed off, and he was relieved of his duties at the stadium. So that was something that absolutely went viral. That's college football viral. Who saw that? That was crazy. All right, and then up here, look, we don't talk Notre Dame, and you know how I feel about Notre Dame. We'll talk Notre Dame in the college football rankings. But I do have to give some props to Jeremiah Love. You seen this young man play? He had some plays yesterday against Pittsburgh, and I know they're playing a JV schedule, but I do have to say that this young man is absolutely nasty, okay? In the pregame, I was listening to him on College Game Day, and Love was comparing himself in terms of who he wants to model his game after was Jahmyr Gibbs, and I saw some clips of him yesterday. Yo, he did nasty work. This was a spin move right here, hit the circle button, and he ran for, a 60-yard gain. So let's give him props because he's certainly absolutely fantastic running back, over 1,000 yards now on the season. Bottom left, okay, two items from Tuscaloosa last night. I still go back to this particular play. Do you feel that this was a pass interference call on Ryan Williams, or obviously on the defender? This wasn't called. And later on in the game, Red Morgan was called for a pass interference. I just felt that particular play, people were like, where's the big play? Well, Ryan Williams, as I always tell you, he has held more than anybody else that I've ever seen in college football as a wide receiver. So, yeah, Ryan Williams, I understand fully about the punt that he's dropped, the fumble. But in terms of the pass interference, that was 1,000,000% a penalty. And then, this was crazy. Did you see this? I'll go full screen. All right, did you see this? Right here in the center frame, this Alabama staffer, this young lady right here. Who saw this? This was on social media. Okay, so let me set the stage. After the game, Oklahoma, there's 15 to 20 players and coaches, it looked like. They went on the script A, and you could see it's kind of roped off, right? After the game, they rope it off real quick. So these guys had jumped that little fence, and they were taking pictures. And this lady right here, she came out, and she scooted out 20 Oklahoma players. And somebody said inside the comment box, they're like, they need to put her on the offensive line. I'm telling you, every single one of these guys was afraid of her, okay? So I don't know who she is, but she is damn good at her job because she protected this house. All right, so props to that Alabama staffer, and that's kind of a clip that's gone viral. Did you see that? That was crazy. And then lastly, my question for you, inside the comment box, and I will post a poll in just a second. Let me get that poll going. And my question for you is, does Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss, and let's just put it like that. Does he leave Ole Miss? Yes or no? And that'll be the poll question as I get to the rankings. So will Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss? And it's just a yes or no. So sound off inside the comment box what you think in terms of Lane Kiffin. And let's see if I can get that up. Or you could just say, I don't know. All right. So with that said, I appreciate you guys being here this afternoon. Thanks for stopping by. I know you're watching here NFL. I am watching the NFL too. I got my fantasy football team locked and loaded. Hopefully Brock Purdy can do some work today for the 49ers. All right, so we got the coaches poll, and this is how it looks, and I'll go full screen, and I'll walk you through it, and as soon as the AP is live, I would imagine the AP, it might already be live, but all right, so the AP poll just came out, and Alabama's number 10, so I'll go to that in just a minute. So it looks like they're the same. This is the coaches poll, what we're looking at right here, and we have Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Georgia, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Bama at number 10. Does anything really jump off the board right here? I get it. We're fresh off the loss. I already told you, you had until 1 p.m., but you had to flush the loss. So I'm past it. I'm already moving into the next game, which is Eastern Illinois. But I feel that after that particular loss, it's a different reaction for me for Alabama, and I'll explain more of that a little bit later. But looking at the top 10, not much has changed, but I do have some questions for you and a couple things that I would like to bring up, okay? So when I do look up at the top 10, these are kind of, where things stand for me in my top 10 notes. Ohio State, this team by far and away has the best odds right now to win the national championship. I mean, everybody is all on this team in terms of, they're at plus 185. I think the next team is like plus 700, which is Indiana. And I think we can all agree. Is there anyone inside the comment box that thinks that Indiana could beat Ohio State? I don't know. Look, I've been telling you, I've been doing more research on Indiana, and I have a little bit more respect for those guys than I did. But at the same time, it's like, Fernando Mendoza, what he did yesterday, I don't want to short sight him because against Wisconsin, he had a wonderful day. He threw for 4 touchdowns. Well, guess what? When Ty Simpson played Wisconsin, they almost had the similar numbers. So one thing that I talk about often is the competition factor. Mendoza, of course he's going to look good against Wisconsin late in the season. Could you imagine if Ty Simpson was playing against Wisconsin yesterday? No, he was playing Oklahoma. How would Fernando Mendoza fare against Oklahoma? Now, look, I don't want to go there because it's kind of like it's hard to do comparative schedules, but I do think that is fact. And I was talking about Ty Simpson, and a lot of people are asking if he's regressed. Well, look at the competition that he's playing on a weekly basis, right? I mean, you're talking about many different teams that were in the top 25 defensively that he's going up against. But anyways, look, have to give it to Fernando. He threw 4 touchdowns yesterday in a big win against Wisconsin. He is now by far and away the Heisman favorite, okay? Texas A&M. They survived, okay, and they came back from behind to beat South Carolina. I thought South Carolina was just going to run away with that game, and they came back, and they're able to beat South Carolina, okay, by, what was it? It was 31-30. So I'm asking you, and look, South Carolina, I felt, is a dangerous team. I mean, shoot, we had to go to Columbia and had to come from behind and beat them in the final minutes, right? But for Texas A&M at College Station, I wonder, yes or no, inside the comment box, do you feel that we have a fraud alert with Texas A&M? Look, okay, I do think this is a good football team. And look, the quarterback in the third quarter, he threw 3 touchdown passes. He looked wonderful. Marcel Reed, I think for anybody, he's going to be a problem. But they have not played a super challenging schedule in the SEC. They've literally played the lower level teams all in the SEC. It's crazy. Like, that is fact. So do we have a fraud alert here? I think so. Now, it's hard to take anything away from a team that has won 10 consecutive games, right? But I think let's call it for what it is. Like, they haven't played the toughest teams in the SEC. They're basically playing the lower level teams, and we could say the same thing about Indiana that we could say about Texas A&M. We really could. So, I think they're a good football team. I think that they're playing at a great level. I think Mike Elko has done a great job in year 2. But I do, if you want me to poke holes in your schedule, I'll do it. So A&M, they survived. It'd be curious to see where they would have fell if they would have lost to an unranked South Carolina team. But with that said, they are 10-0 on the season. All right, look, take off our little Alabama hat and let's talk just college football. Who watched Georgia yesterday against Texas? I had to tell you a couple things, all right? This Georgia football team, they look ferocious. They really did. They took it to Texas, and I thought that Texas might even have a slight opportunity to beat Georgia. Boy, was I wrong. yo, that Georgia team is cooking, and they did whatever they wanted to Texas. And I'll tell you what, I have to give some props to Gunnar Stockton. Okay, within the last, I think it's in the last 4 games, he has 13 passing touchdowns and 2 interceptions. The beginning Gunnar Stockton was mid. This Gunnar Stockton who's playing right now, ooh, oh boy, yo, he's balling out. Okay, so I thought yesterday I wouldn't even be surprised to put Georgia maybe at that number 3 spot, because Georgia right now is playing some damn good football. Coming up, they got Georgia Tech, which should be an interesting game. I would imagine Georgia's maybe a 10-point favorite in that one. But, last year that game came down to the wire. But right now I have to give a lot of props to Georgia. And that just helps Alabama's overall resume as well. It's like, well, who beat you? Well, it was Alabama, right? So anyways, just props to Georgia. And I thought Gunnar Stockton has looked very, very polished. I probably would have Ole Miss above Oregon. Sound off inside the comment box. Who's a better football team, do you think, right now? If they were to go out and play in like an opening round game, a first round game in the playoffs, it'd be entertaining. Ole Miss or Oregon? We'll type M for Ole Miss and type O for Oregon. Who wins that game? And I know we're probably more SEC fans inside the comment box, but I would imagine that a majority of us would feel that Ole Miss is the better team, right? Mike Ford is a Michigan fan inside the comment box, said Oregon is better than Ole Miss. I don't know, man. I've watched Oregon a few times, and they have a really good game against USC. In fact, that is where College Game Day is going out to in this next week. I just don't know, man. I feel that Dante Moore is a good quarterback, and I did like how he operated against Minnesota the other night. I mean, shoot, he barely threw an incompletion, but I kind of go with the same thing. I mean, it's like I'm not really overly impressed with their body of work. And I think Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, and you know what? Lane Kiffin's probably loving it, because not outside of him leaving for this Florida job, nobody's really talking about his program being a title contender. And I think, over the last couple of weeks, Ole Miss has shown that this is a very dangerous team. So it looks very well possible that Ole Miss is going to finish out 11-1. And there's a couple small scenarios that aren't likely that Ole Miss could get into the SEC title game. I'll talk more about that in a minute, but really it's Alabama beat Auburn. Alabama's in the SEC title, probably against A&M if A&M can beat Texas. And if Texas beats A&M, then it'll be Alabama and Georgia. More on that in just a second. All right, and then this other team right here, number 7, Texas Tech. Look, I know, fam, there's a lot of you inside the comment box that really like Texas Tech. And hearing Pat McAfee and even Coach Saban talk about Texas Tech recently, they have a great appreciation for what's going on in Lubbock. They talked about him defensively now that their quarterback is healthy. Who in here, inside the comment box, feels that Texas Tech is a contender? I know it's hard to say, man, but it's like, man, look, here we are. And Texas Tech has an opportunity to be, 12, and they would be 11-1 going into the Big 12 championship game. And Mike Ford's saying Texas Tech, their defense is legit, right? Okay, and then we also have the game that took place last night between Oklahoma and Alabama. Oklahoma now at number 8, and you have Alabama who drops to number 10. I figured Alabama might be at that spot, number 10, right? Were they penalized? I mean, yeah, they should be. They lost the game. They lost the game at home. They were favored in that game. They lost against a really good Oklahoma football team and a team that was already in the top 10. So not a terrible loss. You never want to lose late in the season, but I think a lot of people have respect for Brett Venables and the defense that he has. Now, you slide in kind of Notre Dame in between those two teams in the coaches poll. Look, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Notre Dame at the end of the year. It seems like the committee has a lot of love for them. Coach Saban loves Notre Dame. They could finish out 10-2. I think they got Syracuse and Stanford remaining on its schedule. So Notre Dame likely to finish 10-2. And remember, they don't play in a conference, so you win those games and you're basically in. So that's kind of the top 10 notes right now. As you know, this video is powered by our friends at Sleeper. When you download the app, you get $20 upon just downloading the app. You can make some more or less picks on the NFL. And if you get a $100 deposit match when you use the promo code, which is specific tailgate, and that's a $100 deposit match up to $100. So definitely get in. This is what I'm doing today, watching some NFL after I get off the stream with you guys. So check them out. And then we also have to check out a sponsor we're trying to get on board, who is TickPick. So if you want concerts, festivals, download the app, use the promo code HMA. It's only available on the app, HMA, and up to 20% off on your purchase. So seems terms and conditions for TickPick and Sleeper, two sponsors who make our videos possible. All right. Also, I want to show you my latest prediction of the college football playoff bracket. Now, this is my prediction, okay? The official bracket drops every single Tuesday night up until after the conference championship games. That's when they will be official. But here's my prediction. I threw it together. What do you guys think? So at the number 1 spot, I'll work my way from the left just so I could talk about the rankings, and then I'll talk about the bracket. So I have Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Georgia, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, as I said, over Oregon, Oklahoma, Bama, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, and then the group of 5, which has to be into the playoffs, right? So that's probably looking like James Madison or North Texas come Tuesday night. And again, all of this is kind of just make-believe because there's still a lot of football to be played. But I think, that's why we do the seeding and selection show, so we can understand where these teams are at. Now kind of moving to the quarterfinal teams, you could see these are the teams that would have a bye going into the quarterfinals. Georgia moves into that bye spot over Alabama. You have Ohio State, you have A&M, and you have Indiana. The group of 5 would be the 12 seed. They would be playing Texas Tech, who would be a 5. This game would be in Lubbock. And then how about this, fam? Alabama traveling to take on Oklahoma in Norman. Okay, could you imagine that type of a matchup? I strongly feel. Who's with me inside the comment box? Who do you take if Alabama and Oklahoma play again? Type A for Alabama, type O for Oklahoma. Look, Oklahoma, you could say they have Alabama's numbers. I just feel that if it wasn't for the self-inflicted wounds last night, Alabama was able to win that game. I didn't like the time management either in the fourth quarter, now that I've had time to think about it. You should have been able to go a little bit more up-tempo, maybe kick a field goal, get the defense to force something, and have another opportunity to close the door. I think it was mismanaged. And, that was the most they turned over the football all season long. So, look, is that a possibility? Maybe. And if you look to some ESPN models right now, this could be something that theoretically happens. There's some other possibilities to where Alabama is hosting a game as well. And again, nothing moves forward if Alabama doesn't beat Auburn, period. You lose to Auburn, we're done. We're going to like the Cheez-It Bowl or something like that. I got the 6-11 as Ole Miss hosting Georgia Tech. You have to take a team from the ACC. And then I have Notre Dame on the road taking on Oregon. So you can mix and match a couple of that. One of the things that's fun to do is to go to the ESPN All-State Predictor map and kind of punch around with the teams, and it gives you a percentage. The teams that I do have kind of first out, down here at the bottom left, I have BYU 9-1, and then I have Vanderbilt as my next team out. So that's those are my predictions. The remaining SEC games look like this because the SEC, all the other conferences I think are pretty much determined. We know who's going to play for the conference championship. The Big Ten will be Ohio State and Indiana. The Big 12 will be Texas Tech and BYU. The ACC will probably be Georgia Tech and Virginia. And then the SEC, I'll explain it right now. So the remaining games in the SEC looks like this. You have Florida and Tennessee. The only real game that there's a lot of weight, I guess, not even this coming week. None of those games really have a high level of importance in terms of who plays for the championship game. It's the next weekend, right? When that November 28th and 29th Thanksgiving weekend. And you have Ole Miss playing, trying to get to 11-1, A&M trying to finish out at 12-0, Alabama trying to finish out with the 10-2 record if they are able to beat Eastern Illinois, right? Have to say that. You have to win the game before the game's, you have to win the game, period. So what it would look like if Ole Miss wins, and Georgia's already completed, right? They're finished with a 7-1 conference record. Alabama at 6-1, Ole Miss at 6-1. A&M unbeaten in conference play. So let me walk a couple different scenarios out. And I've talked about this a couple different times on a couple different videos. But to be straightforward, and I'll go full screen, is if Alabama beats Auburn, if Texas A&M beats Texas, Alabama and A&M would play in the SEC title as Alabama is above Georgia and Ole Miss based on conference opponent winning percentage plus the common opponent that is Georgia, right? Alabama beat Georgia head-to-head, whereas Georgia beat Ole Miss head-to-head, right? The other scenario where Alabama could play Georgia in the title game is the second half down here. If Alabama beats Auburn, if Texas beats Texas A&M, Alabama versus Georgia in the SEC title game, Georgia would be above Ole Miss and Texas A&M based on conference opponent win percentage. Remember, the one thing that Texas A&M doesn't really have going for them is they haven't played the top tier SEC opponents, whereas Alabama has, right? So Alabama's in a great position. All they have to do is beat Eastern Illinois, and guess what they have to do? Beat Auburn, okay? So earlier today, I was talking like what now, and I talked about the team's identity, and I went over a couple of these other items, but to kind of further showcase the SEC, this is where we're at right here, right? You have the A&M undefeated, Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama. The reason that Georgia is above Alabama and Ole Miss right now is because this is sorted by conference record, where we're at 6-1. But as I just explained, Alabama does have the head-to-head over Georgia. So all they have to do is beat Auburn, and they will be the number 2 seed. Now, there's a couple things that I've showcased, and kind of talking more Alabama football right now, is the best case and worst scenario, right? And starting at the worst case, if Alabama loses against Auburn and they lose in that bowl game, it would be crazy to think that they could have the exact same record as last year, which is 9-4. 2 consecutive years of 9-4, we pull our hair out, right? Like the approval rating for Coach Kalen DeBoer, if it's a worst case scenario, would plummet. I know this. I mean, last year we gave him grace because it was the first year. The second year you don't make the playoffs, I promise you people are going to start talking. All right, that's where we live at. Now, I think something that is more plausible is you beat Eastern Illinois and you beat Auburn and you get into the SEC title. Let's say you win that game. Great. But if you lose that game, you'll have 3 losses. And I do wonder if Alabama would be penalized. Let me hear from you inside the comment box. Do you feel that Alabama would be penalized if they do get to the SEC title game and they lost? Because they would have 3 losses, and they'd be going up against BYU, who has 2 losses. They'd be going up against Miami, who has 2 losses, right? For that last spot, I don't know. They'd be like, yo, these guys lost to an unranked team. They lost their first game of the season and their last game, right? And they lost at home. I don't know. I just think if they lost the SEC title, I wonder if they would be punished. I don't think so because the conference is so damn hard to win, right? And to get to the SEC title is like impossible. In this plausible situation, they win the first round game. I don't know. Maybe they go on the road. Maybe they host a game, which would be cool, right? They host like, I don't know, Georgia Tech or something like that. Extra home game. They win in the quarters, and then they lose in the semis. So let's say they finish out 12-4. Very respectable season. That's a lot of volumes of a game. That's an NFL season right there, 12-4, right? The best case scenario is kind of they get pissed off for greatness. And, you know, we look to how this team responded the last time it lost a game. The last time Alabama lost, you saw that team respond with a negative with 8 consecutive positives, okay? And I mean that by wins. They reeled off 8 wins against a crazy-ass schedule, all right? They beat 4 consecutive ranked teams. That's what they'd have to do in the best case, right? You'd play a ranked team for the SEC title, a ranked team in the quarters, a ranked team in the semi, and a ranked team for the title. Who's the only team, fam, that has done that in the country? Let me ask you this. Is there another team in the country, or who's the only team in the country that has beaten 4 consecutive top 25 teams? Name them. I'll give you 5 seconds. None. It's only Alabama. So you would have to, Alabama would have to win against another 4 consecutive top 25 teams. All right. Could they do it? Well, they've done it before. All right, so that's kind of the best case, worst case for Alabama. Here's a couple of scenarios that I was looking at. If Alabama finishes 10-3 and they lose in the SEC title game, you have Notre Dame, who's 10-2 without a conference title. Where would they be? BYU would be 11-2, losing to the Big 12 title game to Texas Tech. Is that really a bad loss since Texas Tech is a top 5 team, right? Who would they take? Miami, they're over there 10-2. I know Bama hater going to call in and say that Miami deserves to be in. All right, but as you know, man, I really wish that was James Cook who just ran that in, but it was Ty Johnson. Damn. You watching this Bills game? Oh, man, that would have been huge for my fantasy football squad. But it all starts right here, okay? And the Auburn-Alabama game, every year this game is big. But it's never been bigger because the present is right now what we're focusing on. And if Alabama doesn't beat Auburn, then Alabama is out of the playoffs. Alabama will go to some meaningless bowl game because, let's face it, if you don't make the playoffs, the bowl games are meaningless. That's how we have designed college football, 100%. And the last games at Auburn have been straight hell, okay? Straight hell. Look at this, all right? In 2023, Alabama survived 27-24, okay? In 2021, Alabama survived 24-22. In 2019, Auburn won 48-45. And then in 2017, 26-14, it was the Auburn Tigers. So, look, going through Auburn to go to the playoffs, you could look at, I guess you could look at it negative or positive in terms of, yeah, this is fun, or yeah, I'm scared. I don't know. What's your confidence level? I asked you earlier today, and there was a lot of people that felt you had high confidence going against Auburn. But that's the thing. I mean, it's not complicated. And Marcus McCants with the super chat, man, he says, no way Notre Dame should be over Alabama. Alabama resume way better than Notre Dame. I like that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, no other team has beaten 4 consecutive top 25s, right? I mean, Notre Dame has 2 losses. So does Alabama. I get it. But I think when you go head-to-head, Alabama clearly has the better resume. But the games at Auburn are crazy. Absolutely. So that's what it comes down to, and it's that simple. And for the people out there, like, the season's done, it's all over. No, it's not. It's really not. There's a lot of football left to be played. So you flush that game. You understand that this is the team's identity, and this is where we're at. It's a very good passing team. It is. It's a good passing team. They have a below-average run game, and I know you took baby steps forward in your run game, but it's not there. It's not completely fixed. There was a good run, but it wasn't a dominating run game. They got a great defense, and this is why we're still here at this point in time. That's why Alabama is still a top 10 team, because I guarantee you when that committee gets together on Tuesday, one of the things that they're going to discuss is what has been consistent about Alabama. Well, their really good passing game and their great defense. And yeah, what has been consistent? A below average run game. Throw that in there as well. And then it's been a poor kicking game. I said this as well, and I'm sure Coach Kalen DeBoer is going to talk to Connor Talty about this, but you can't call out your teammates like that. That's on all of you collectively. It's a special teams unit from the snap to the hold to the kick. All right. And at the end of the day, I think all of us know that the kicker, is responsible for wherever the ball is, bro. That's your job to hit that thing. All right. So 11-16 ain't it. And that's probably one of the most concerning things, probably even more so than the below average run game, because I think you can still win games with a below average run game. But if your special teams is not there, good luck beating these teams in the playoffs. It's just not going to happen, right? That's fact. They're battle tested, and that's the last thing, all right? They're battle tested. This team has been punched in the face before. This team has lost in the beginning of the season. They lost right now. They have came back to win games. They have controlled games. This is a team that I feel will respond positively to the negative, but it's up to them, right? Up to them 100% to choose where they go after this conference loss. It's not done. Season's not done. I know you get into the poor me's and you're like, oh my God, the season's over. DeBoer isn't it, and all this sort of stuff. Don't live in that space. Don't. Live in this space. This is the reality of college football. You know what? I need to make everybody a mantra. This is what it'd be like. Say it with me. I live in the present world of college football. I understand that this team will get punched in the mouth. I understand that this team will deliver blows. I understand that a single or a third or a second loss does not define the entire season. I understand that last year's team lost 2 games and still won the national championship game, right? A season is not determined by a week 1 loss or a week 5 win, right? I need to make like the whole mantra, and we need to say it together all the time. I understand that this is a different world of college football, and it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or if you win by a mile, right? Should I make up the new college football mantra for everybody to say together? All right, fam. Well, those are we didn't even go over the AP. But I think the AP is the same thing. So, but it's the title of the video, so I guess we have to go over it. Let's see what we got here. Sorry, I got to cooking, and I was like, damn, man, we were cooking good. Where's the AP? Come on now. All right, 1 second. AP top 25. I think it's the same as the coaches poll. And I mean, look, they're meaningless polls really because we go off the college football playoff ranking, but here it is just to look at it. All right, so we'll go full screen on this. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Georgia. As I said, I'm not surprised to see Georgia move up a spot. Maybe they should have moved up 2 spots after that beatdown that they gave Texas. Oh, interesting. They have Ole Miss right here at number 5, Texas Tech, and then they have Oregon at number 6. They have number 8, Oklahoma. So I guess there's a tie, I guess. Alabama at 10 behind Notre Dame. That's something that I think Marcus McCants was talking inside the comment box. He's like, why is Notre Dame above Alabama? I don't agree with that, right? I think Notre Dame has a really good team. I liked watching them yesterday playing a JV game, but in NFL Light, it's a different league. I don't even know where Notre Dame, honestly, I feel that if Notre Dame was to play in the SEC, that they would be a non-playoff team. I think Vanderbilt would beat Notre Dame. I honestly do. I think Vanderbilt would beat Notre Dame. And I think Tennessee would beat Notre Dame too. Or at least it'd be one hell of a game. You got BYU, Vanderbilt, Utah, and you got Miami at 14. And then 15 through 21 looks like that. So it's going to be James Madison at that 12 spot on Tuesday. They are the highest ranked team. They're at number 21. But yeah, if you're just checking in, the plain and simple story is Alabama is number 10 in the nation. So that's where they're at on both the coaches poll and the AP top 25. So thanks for kicking it with me today. I appreciate it. I know there's a lot of news that is rotating. Stay in a positive space. Seriously, it sucked. Last night, yeah, you lost. But you move on. You flush it. I'm going to flush it by having a little Jersey Mike's and watching some NFL and continuing to kick it with you right here on Bama Football on YouTube or on our Facebook channel. So go check out our Facebook channel. I post a lot of content there as well. But, of course, as news happens, I got you covered right here on Alabama Football. Though this week is going to be interesting because, look, we get to wait on A.K. Deer, right? You think A.K. Deer's going to play? We're going to blow that up. You get probably Keelan Russell. You get Austin Mack, and you know what? If Coach Saban heard me talking about these backup players, he would be pissed. He would smack me. He's like, well, how the hell you know that these players are going to get to play? I'd be like, you're right, Coach. You're right, Coach. This is going to be a fun week, I'm telling you. Don't sleep on it. We got Eastern Illinois, and then you got the big one. So make sure your seatbelt is buckled, and the season is not over. I promise you. There's a lot of football left to be played. But you know how I feel about you. I love you. Thank you for kicking it with me right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Enjoy your beautiful Sunday. The weather is just prime right now. It is 75 degrees. I'm going to spend time with my family right now, kick it, watch some NFL. And I hope you guys do the same. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll be back as news happens right here on Bama Football on YouTube. But enjoy your beautiful Sunday. And, of course, I'll kick it with you guys on Monday at 10 a.m. Central Time right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Have a great day and enjoy the college football playoffs soon. That'll be here. And enjoy your NFL. Talk later, fam. See ya.